Welcome, everyone, to Career Happy Hour. I'm Andrew Beach. I'm an executive coach. I am a teacher of self education. I help professionals like you communicate their value to find great opportunities faster, whether you're working or not. That's through a pragmatic process of branding, planning, and executing through effective networking. Hey, everybody, 3 o'clock Pacific time. Every Friday, we come here as a community to gather and support each other. This is Career Happy Hour, and it's an opportunity for you to get questions answered. Therefore, if you can, utilize the chat or comments feature here on Restream. I'm broadcasting on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and also Twitter. So we're on 4 platforms all at once, and occasionally we'll get some questions from Twitter, some questions from YouTube or wherever, but primarily we're on LinkedIn. So if you're joining today, thank you for coming. I would like you to at least put your LinkedIn profile in the chat to acknowledge to everyone here that you are open to networking. That means if I put my LinkedIn profile here, I'm open to networking. And when people reach out to me, I will say yes. And so this is a good time. It's now November. We're in the midst of the fourth quarter, and the holidays are coming. I think last week we talked a little bit about the new book I'm reading. Where'd it go? I got it around here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Let me get it. Okay. It's called the 12-Week Year. And so I have read now probably 4/5 of this. And before I continue on in it, it's recommended that you actually complete some of the exercises. So I'm going through that now. So if you haven't yet acquired this book, then that's fine. We are using that as maybe a primer for 2022. This is an opportunity for us to think about, build, and execute a plan between now and the end of the year, and more importantly, in 2022. Because it's the premise of this book is that you can complete as much in 12 weeks as you could an entire year, considering that 1 week would equal an entire month. So I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to put together and follow the process. In the book, it's really nice. And I guess I could also provide that link to you. Let me see if I can find it. There is a link in here where you can just access their resources. And I'm sure they do that because people buy the book and they see the link. But let me see if I can find it here. And I will put that in the comments section. So I'm sure, actually, I put it on my notes. Let's see. Page 20. Let me get it to you. I think this is good because you don't really then have to get the book. You can just take a look at the link and utilize that instead. Well, if I can find it, I'll put it in there. I know it's in here somewhere. 12-week year. Go to 12weekyear.com. Here it is. 12weekyear.com/getting started. All you do is put in your email, and they send you, I think over the course of a few days, they send you the things to do. So why don't I'll put this in on LinkedIn, and hopefully this will come across. 12weekyear.com/getting started. Weird. 12. Okay, I've got some issues with my stuff here, so I will put it. 12weekyear.com/getting started. Sorry about this. For whatever reason, I tried to put it in the chat and it wouldn't allow me to do it. It was kind of weird what was going on there. So I will, hopefully that'll work. 12weekyear.com. Yeah. And then I'll also put that on my other tools here so that you can have that. Good. So that's that. So I'm working through this. I'm doing some of the exercises. I encourage you to follow along with me. The idea being is that we're prepping as quickly as possible to finish the year strong and to start 2022 strong. And so that's actually started me thinking. I've been doing a lot of networking this week with various members, people that I've come to know over the years, and just reconnecting. I'm sure you all do that occasionally. Perhaps even during the holidays, it'd be a good time to reconnect, not just with family, but with people that pre-pandemic, right? 2019 is a year I've been thinking about a lot, and the normal that comes with that. So, thank you, Bob. I appreciate that. Um, Go Cyclones! What's what? So, just a question here, and maybe this is silly, but what is a cyclone anyway? Never heard of that. Uh, and tonight I'm not worried about it, but tomorrow is the game against the trees. So we're, it's funny that the group that is the beavers that shoot the trees down is playing against the trees tomorrow. So we should have fun. I'm going to go to the game tomorrow, so hopefully I'll see you there, or perhaps not. But so what I was thinking about, or at least as I started talking to people that were ones that I connected to pre-pandemic, I asked them, we talked in 2019, we had all these grand plans, and then pandemic hit. How's it going now? Because it's been now almost 2 years since I interacted with some of these folks, some clients, just some friends, some acquaintances. And I said, what's changed for you? And they said, well, I'm really looking for something different. And some of these conversations started me thinking about, what does 2022 really look like? What is it going to look like for individuals like us, maybe that are looking to attract the right talent? What does it look for those of us that maybe want something better, professionally speaking? And so I just decided to take a look at what I feel is happening in the marketplace. And the one thing that came to mind is it will be accelerated. Everything that you imagined that would be coming and that we have heard is coming, or that, these trends in the marketplace, everything will be accelerated. That's what I can feel. And so let's talk about what some of those things might be. And it's almost like a perfect storm, to be honest, a perfect storm of these various factors coming together all at once to create, this situation. So here's the first thing that is going to continue, at least in my perception, into 2022, because many companies are yet to commit fully to getting everybody back to work, back to the office, I should say. And so I believe there's continued to be a labor shortage. There will continue to be more opportunities than people to fill them. That's going to create a lot of pain and challenge for many organizations. Now, the good news in a labor shortage is that as a candidate or someone that's looking for something better, you're in the driver's seat, and that's going to continue well into 2022. It's also going to be exacerbated, in my opinion, by vaccine mandates. I believe there have been already a lot of people saying, hey, this is the great resignation, the year of the great resignation. Well, that's still happening. And that trend will be accelerated, I believe, because of vaccine mandates. That there will be a group of people that have been, for whatever reason, vaccine hesitant, that just will not risk it. And so you're seeing that happening not just in healthcare and beds filling up in hospitals and not enough people to serve, right? We're seeing a shortage in that space. You're going to see that in many other spaces where people are going to make a distinct choice not to participate. And therefore they will forego anything. And so what that led me to think about is, the group of people that might be most, maybe not impacted, but the ones that I started thinking about were the ones that were maybe working but could retire. So if you're in that category where you're working, but you could retire, and you're seeing what's coming down the pipe, so to speak, you can see into the future, and you have your crystal ball, and you know that at any second you could retire. I think that's what will happen. We'll see an acceleration of people retiring. They're just deciding not to participate. And then so organizations will have a challenge in succession planning. I think that's going to be one of the big things to happen in 2022 is, how do we have retained knowledge, and how do we transition from having all these people that are highly successful and probably valued members of our teams just deciding not to participate anymore, and then retiring. So what does succession planning look like in 2022? That's going to exacerbate the labor shortage, because this group of individuals was highly productive. And let's assume for a moment that highly productive resource is replaced by 2, maybe 3 productive resources that need to be upskilled. It's going to exacerbate that situation. And so in a labor shortage where you have people not participating and retiring at a high rate, what do you do with that as an organization? You will have to leverage, I think, in my opinion, external consultancy. You will have to take on more strategic partners, vendors, if you will. And this is going to, in my estimation, be also a year for entrepreneurship in many different capacities. So a lot of those folks that are not participating or intending to retire will actually build a consulting or consultancy business, perhaps to fill the need or the niche that they left, and to be purveyors of their own destiny. I believe that's a trend that you will see continue. And then, of course, 2022, at least in the United States, will also have the opportunity to have midterm elections. I think that's going to create more confusion and disruption. And a lot of people, as in any election year, are likely not to do anything or make any bold moves until after November. So that would be a year from now. And so at some point during the year, you'll feel it. You'll feel that, hey, there's these people running. There's a midterm election. What's going to happen? I don't know. But they decide to do nothing. And I think that many people will have an opportunity to take advantage of that situation and grab good talent. They're going to take advantage of that situation and grab market share. It happens every election year, although it will be accelerated. So that's the key. The perfect storm really is a storm of acceleration. And I believe so if I was to say, okay, these are the predictions I make for 2022, certainly, these are just predictions and they're my opinions only. They're not the opinions or positions of any company that I'm associated with. So let's just keep that in mind. What this will require of many organizations is to legitimately invest in their people, and not just do it in the ways that have been happening in the last 2 years, but to really make an investment, not just in the people, but in the leaders that lead those people, so that we have really the year of true talent attraction and employee experience like you probably have never seen. And that too will be accelerated. The companies will be forced to really practice, I believe, what they preach. And so this is a good thing. I believe the organizations that will embrace and do this in an agile way will actually be much better off in 2022 and beyond, because they were how would you say it? They were real. They were real about their investments in talent attraction and employee engagement and experience. They're going to be true to that. And they're not just going to develop their people, they're going to develop the leaders that lead those people. That's where many organizations, I believe, fall short, at least in my experience, is that they're really good at offering up all these training programs. That's easy, right? Easy to find training programs and content. There's no lack of learning. Just go out to LinkedIn Learning. You probably could not find the end of the internet. LinkedIn Learning is no exception. There's tons of learning programs available there. However, there isn't a learning program accessible that helps people be coached. So and so maybe one of the things that happens in 2022 is that those organizations that have coaching practices are likely to be highly successful, because the coach can help an individual differentiate the urgent from the important, and to execute in face of some of these challenges. And so perhaps I'll put that on my list. Maybe I'll share this list at some point. Coaching orgs to do well. So let's see, Bob, that's That's a long post. So I'll just read it instead of putting it up on the screen. So thank you for that. So Bob says, I'm not in the vaccine hesitant category, but I am in the working but could retire group. This has certainly caused us to have discussions on what is important to us and shifted the calculus from a default presumption of working through at least 65 to pondering what not working could look like. Yeah, I mean, that's great. If you're having those revelations now, what I'm suspecting is that it'll be accelerated in any of it. Whatever you decide is likely to be accelerated from what you anticipated before. For whatever reason, I don't know why this is happening so quickly, but it is. Let's see. It is making me a lot pickier about the context in which I'm willing to work. Good. You should be picky about that, but don't turn. So make sure that you're not excluding Bob too early. That you get to the dance, and you at least been through one song, and you can then make a choice. Because sometimes what's said or promised is not what's delivered. You know that. Of course, I don't have to tell you. Just having a job isn't enough. That is so true. And if a job has some negatives, I'm a lot less likely to just work through it, but look at more fundamental personal values is more important. Yeah, I mean, so some of this is taking your personal values to work. And whether or not they're valued isn't of your concern. You just bring those values to work. And when you reach resistance is when that would be evidenced. But I'm not sure that until you start working, you would really know what the true values are of the organization. It may take time to work through that, to be honest. I haven't, as good as you might be at screening employers to meet your values, you may just not be 100% perfect that way. And I wouldn't not work because they don't meet 100% of my requirements. The objective, I think, really is to optimize, right? To say, how much can I meet the expectation of ideal, and what is non-negotiable? Let's see what it says here. But look at more fundamental values more. Okay, for me, that means a job change. Today is my last day at my latest position, starting something new in another week. Good. Congratulations. Because this is you being the arbiter of your future. This is you taking ownership of your career and not allowing that to be driven by external forces to a certain extent. So good on you. Good on you. So that's a better. So one of the philosophies that I tend to agree with is that from, I believe, Salesforce. Someone told me this, so I don't even know if it's true, but it's the concept of better and better, never best. And so if we're always having that philosophy, better and better, never best, then we won't settle for status quo or what is normal, if you will. Good. So thank you, Bob, for those contributions. If you certainly, if you have some questions, you can put those much like Bob did into the comments box, and I'll be happy to answer or provide some perspective. You can also come on live. There is a link in the description, depending on how you're attending here today. I'll also put that same link here into join me now for live coaching hands-on video. So I'll put that into LinkedIn. If you want to join me, I can have, it says here, invite up to 10 guests. So I could have 10 people streaming live at the same time. Not that I would do that, but I can. So, not that I want to do that. Okay, so I will hang on. Let's see here. Oh, it doesn't let me save that. Okay, join me live now for video hands-on coaching. Okay. Now, the nice thing is if you come into the back end of this system, you can have your private questions answered anonymously. So I know there's more people here than are contributing in the chat. That's every week is the same. So I might suggest that if you want your questions answered, either send me a direct message on LinkedIn or come into the private chat using the link I just provided and ask me your questions there. There's a private chat there that you can engage in and just say, hey, I have an anonymous question and put it in there. Thanks for coming, Melanie. I do appreciate that. She says, very interesting. Thanks, Andrew. Must run now. We'll try to resume video later. Good. And again, share your questions if you have those. And Melanie, if you're open to it, just by posting in here, it's likely people will reach out to you, hopefully with noble purpose, noble intent, and not from a position of, trying to take something from you. We've had some of that happen in the recent past. It was an anomaly situation where someone reached out and it just was not comfortable. Also, maybe as you go, Melanie or anybody else here, it would be helpful if you just shared this live broadcast with somebody that you think might get benefit from it, or let them know that there is a career resource here to support them every week, 3:00 Pacific time on Fridays. As long as I'm in town and available, I will be doing it. Not always is that possible. And LinkedIn does not. I would love to do a recorded stream, but LinkedIn frowns on recorded video. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to live by their terms of service, and we won't do that. Okay. But share it out. Some people have been doing that in private messages or amongst friends. Some people do that publicly on LinkedIn or some other social network. Whatever works for you is just fine by me. But I did see there was some good news articles today. And so maybe we just share the news and then we call it a day, unless you have some questions. And then I'm happy to answer. If you want some hands-on coaching, please click the link that's provided in the description. So I will go ahead and share my screen here, and we will walk through some of the news. Okay, Americans quit. Now let me get this full screen. Hang on. Americans quit at a record rate again. This is going to continue, folks. This is exactly what we were talking about. So let's see. Americans set a second straight record for quitting jobs in September, pushing the rate 3% from 2.9. And we call that a big number, but I guess 0.1% is pretty substantial when you're talking about 4.4 million workers left employment during the most recent month. And data were unavailable, with job openings decreasing slightly to 10.4 million. While the Delta variant was still weighing on the labor force in September, workers were also chasing better pay and benefits as employers elsewhere bid up. Yes. So why not? Why not take this opportunity to get more for yourself? It just makes sense to me. More better is a virtue. More better is a virtue. And this is where organizations need to be a little more proactive in their total rewards programs to make sure that, hey, if I'm doing a review, maybe it needs to happen more than once a year or once every 2 years or once every 5 years. Maybe it needs to happen once a month or once a quarter, and be a little more agile this way. So it doesn't surprise me at all. Let's see. COVID hits northern U.S. What's this all about? Let's see. 10 states represented by Republican attorneys general have sued the Biden administration over its vaccine mandate on healthcare workers. It's the latest in what the Washington Post calls an increasingly complex web of lawsuits. Wow. Over the policy. Meanwhile, Colorado's governor, all the more reason that this will accelerate what's going on. It'll accelerate people pulling out of the marketplace, and companies like healthcare, health systems being forced to hire people that aren't vaccinated in exchange for people that are demanded or required to be vaccinated, saying, no, thanks, I'm out of here. So I don't know that you can get around that. So what happens? Well, I know in Oregon, what they did is they actually brought in the National Guard to help support the health system, which is great. That's certainly what it's there for in an emergency. But there's no requirement for the folks in the National Guard to have vaccines to help in that capacity, as far as I know. I could, of course, be wrong. Meanwhile, Colorado's governor says all adults can get booster shots after declaring the state at high risk for COVID-19 amid fears that the virus could overwhelm hospital capacity in the coming weeks. Experts tell the Associated Press that virus hotspots are shifting to Mountain West and northern U.S. states, which I guess I'm in a northern U.S. state, being in Oregon. So we'll see what happens. But, I'm not sure what to read into this other than the fact that states are suing the federal government. I don't know if there's anything new there. Inflation fastest in hot cities. Singles Day breaks records. Singles Day? Let's see. Shoppers in China spent 139.1 billion during this year's Singles Day, the world's largest online shopping festival. Interesting. Billed by the Wall Street Journal as Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and Amazon Prime Day on loop for days. Interesting. Alibaba, the e-commerce platform, spearheads the event, saw a 14% growth this year compared to 93% in 2020. So not as much. Yeah. Supply chain is impacting even Alibaba, which you would think is the supply chain. Anyway, let's see. Change careers, build an empire. Let's see what this says. Change careers, build an empire. Candace Nelson, founder of Sprinkles and Pizzana, didn't start out in the culinary world. In fact, she started her career in finance and made a major pivot. Her pivot ended up being wildly successful and resulted in the birth of the cupcake bakery industry. In retrospect, it sounds like I knew exactly what I was doing. I had no idea what I was doing. She said on the latest episode of Get Hired Live, for those looking to make a similar pivot, she suggests trying to stress test your idea. Could be just that you're kind of burnt out on your job, but it's not that you need a total change. The way I tested was by going to pastry school. Now you can probably do that at night, right there. So there is a book that I read a while back and I thought was pretty good. I think it was called Quitter. I can't remember the gentleman's name. I follow him on Twitter and Facebook, but and the idea was, how do I go about this great resignation and doing it with grace and class? And so I would encourage you to take a look at that book. I think it's called Quitter, and it's a positive book on how to transition from something you enjoy or are good at to something that is in your zone of genius. So think about it. If you're considering making a pivot, that would be great. Let's see here. Paul, thank you for the question. Can you discuss further possible consulting trend opportunities in 2022? So truthfully, Paul, this is not a trend that is just exclusive to 2022. It's something a trend that has been happening for a number of years as people get laid off. Organizations have made it standard of practice to balance the books or have good quarterly earnings reports or what have you by laying people off. So they're using headcount as a way to balance the books. And that's something that in terms of philosophically, I don't agree with that all the time, unless there's some major thing that happens in your industry where people just don't buy X anymore or X becomes illegal. Then, there are circumstances that merit a reduction in force. And I don't believe balancing the books to meet quarterly earnings reports and to make the executive suite look good is a reasonable, albeit virtuous act. I don't believe that for sure. So what that means is people that have been laid off or downsized or whatever you want to call it, this has been happening for probably half a generation, have decided not to participate in the job market. And so the reason that the job market looks like it's so there's non-participatory people in it is because these people have started consulting businesses, and so they don't show up in the employment numbers. And I know many people that are doing that, and they have, in what many regards would be called a portfolio career. They're doing some consulting. They're doing some pro bono work. They're doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and they string things together. And bada bing, bada bang, they have enough income to make themselves happy. So, and so that's a trend that has been happening. But what I suspect is that organizations, especially if their future is uncertain, will be reluctant to hire, and they'll also be reluctant to fire. So they're kind of stuck in corporate, how would you call it? They're stuck in neutral. It's not strategic at all. Any organization that stands still and doesn't change is going to face the consequences of that decision. But there are certain industries that are just going to be impacted based on what's happened. And I see a resurgence in probably hospitality. There's no reason why we need to continue down this path in hospitality. It's something that, if you were to establish a business, it would be something that, I think and I've talked about this on the career happy hours on Friday before, is that organizations now are in a position where they need to create good employee experiences. They need to have group team events, but at the same time, they also minding P&L and saying, well, I don't need all this corporate real estate anymore. Well, where on earth are they going to meet? They have to go somewhere. And is that going to be, Comedy Sports is one that I can think of here locally in Portland. Is that a fun center or a amusement park or what is? So I just think, and maybe that's an offsite. Maybe you do an offsite and fly everybody to Vegas. I don't know. This is something that, because I don't have my corporate real estate, I don't have that expense anymore. Do a little bit of travel to make up for it, and I'm still ahead, and my people are happy. I mean, isn't that what business is all about? Making your people happy so that they perform for you. And so if I can do anything in that capacity, that's what I would be looking at. I would be looking at the marketplace I came from or the one I want to be in and understand that marketplace better than people in it understand it themselves. And that requires an education. So if I wanted to go start a business, say, helping corporate HR departments facilitate things outside their walls, their four walls, right? Because many organizations are still remote work, or even those that don't have remote work, is what are they doing to give their people time off? What are they doing to facilitate resilience? So there's a lot of things going on that I think could play into a consulting opportunity. And the trend would be, hey, all these people are leaving. The work doesn't go away. In fact, the work is increasing in many people's minds. And I can't hire people fast enough. I have to bring in contingent resource. So if I have a packaged set of skills and I can start talking to people in my industry and positioning myself not as perhaps a future employee, but as a solution to a problem or a set of services that they could leverage on an ad hoc as needed basis, then they don't have to hire somebody like me. They can just engage with me on a consulting basis, albeit I'll earn more, because it just goes to show that hey, if they're not hiring somebody, they don't have to pay the wage, they don't have to pay the benefits and all that. And certainly that's normal when you hire an organization instead of a person. So if you don't have to pay that, guess what? You get, instead of getting those benefits, you should get that in cash compensation. So it's not uncommon that you would earn more because you're a consulting resource than you would if you were an employee, because you're procuring those other things on your own. And you may also have a set of skills or expertise that they can't hire anyway. Even if they tried to replace it, they couldn't find it. So if I have a set of skills, as they say in Liam Neeson, I have a specific set of skills in the movie Taken. So if you ever seen Taken, you probably have. But good. Thank you for that question. Just keep at it. Start identifying. So there is a book I would advocate. I don't know if I have it right here. It's called The Big Leap. The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. It talks about the difference between your zone of excellence and your zone of genius, because there's things that many of us are good at but it isn't at the level of zone of genius. Things we're excellent at may not give us fulfillment, but zone of genius does give us that fulfillment. So take a look at that book. I don't know. I've got it around here somewhere. I read books. Sometimes I listen to books. I do podcasts and stuff like that, but you could probably, I bet Gay Hendricks probably has a podcast or a YouTube channel or something like that, but you can find the book certainly on Amazon or eBay or somewhere. That's easy to find. Good. Any other questions out there? And maybe we just call this a day, because I don't see any other change here that or news here that's making me want to share it. But I do thank you for coming. I do wish all those, and the reason I have the flags up is to continue our theme this week of Veterans Day, and to wish all those who have served and paid the ultimate price happy Veterans Day, and thank you for your service. It is truly a sacrifice that doesn't go unnoticed by me, for sure. And I do appreciate that sacrifice. Even though you may not hear it from anywhere, or when you do hear it, it's flippant or somewhat it's almost like people are saying it just because it is, so it's well intended, but not well landed, I guess I should say. All right, everyone. I don't see any other questions here. I think I've shared what I need to share. Get your 12-week year resources. I think I put that in the. Let me see. Did I put that in here? I didn't. It's over here on LinkedIn. Let me get that. If I can find that. Oh, maybe I'll just plug it in here. 12weekyear.com/getting started. Okay. Oh, it changed it up. Okay, so I will now put this in the restream so that you all can have that. And that's the 12weekyear.com. It says GSC, but it's getting started course is what that is. I don't know what platform that on. I would guess that's on maybe Infusionsoft or let's see, view page source. Maybe it's not Kajabi. No. ClickFunnels. There we go. ClickFunnels and Infusionsoft. That's interesting. It's on WordPress. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. All right, folks. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Career Happy Hour. Be well, stay safe, and enjoy your time off and your fellow man, and get ready for the holidays. Take care. Bye.